That's a whole day of filming without getting pissed off. Hey guys, Alex from 7th Hour Films, and today I'm starting Frieren, Beyond Journey's End. So, I wasn't going to start this now, and then in the middle of Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2, basically I just kind of lost it, and I got so mad, and I just gave up. It's the first time I've quit a show in the middle of the season. I've quit shows before. I quit My Hero Academia and, Star Trek Picard. We never picked up the second season of that, but, yeah, I stopped in the middle of the season. Which I'm not fully comfortable with, but I'll get over it, I think. So, today we are starting Frieren Beyond Journey's End. This was what I was going to follow up Jujutsu Kaisen with anyway. So yeah. I don't know much about this show, actually. It's just fantasy, magic, elves. She's an elf, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, they go on a journey of some kind, beyond Journey's End. And yeah, we're gonna watch the dub because, honestly, this might be a weird reason. I keep getting recommended clips from Frieren, which I haven't watched any of them because I didn't want to spoil anything before because I knew I wanted to watch this eventually. And pretty much all of those clips were dub clips. Obviously there were a good number of sub clips recommended to me, but no, I keep seeing dub clips too, so screw it. We're just going to do the dub. It's easier anyway. And, yeah, that's pretty much that. We're just going to do that. We're going to watch the dub, and it's just going to, hopefully, be a good time. So long as it doesn't have the writing problems of Jujutsu Kaisen, I think this will be fine. This show has a very low bar to surpass, so I think we'll be okay. It is the first episode of the season, so if you want to watch my full unedited reaction to this episode of Frieren, you can. It's down in the description and in the pinned comment. There won't be any footage on the actual video. It'll just be me, but you can sync up your copy of this episode of Frieren to my footage. I've made it as easy as possible. There'll just be a count-in, a 3, 2, 1, and that's when you hit play on Frieren. I'm watching it on Crunchyroll. You could be watching it on Crunchyroll. You could be watching it on some other site, but I didn't say that. Yeah. And also, it is an anime, if any of you guys are new here. This is an anime, and because of copyright problems with watching anime on YouTube, the reaction is not in this video. My reaction, where it's all edited and there's footage and stuff, that is also down in the description and in the pinned comment. And basically just what this YouTube video is the discussion, the before and after I watch the episode. So yeah, when you're done with either the full length or the reaction highlight, I do encourage you to come back here because we are going to discuss this episode at some length, basically. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So why don't we go ahead and jump right into episode 1 of Frieren Beyond Journey's End. Here we go. Well, I am now in the looking up voice actors phase. Okay, already a hit on Frieren. Ulka, the woman in Spy Family that Yor was protecting on the cruise ship. Oh, that's all I got on Frieren? That's so strange. Well, she did a great voice. Kind of unexpected, so. Jill Harris as Fern. Mandalay and My Hero. Okay, that's it. Not doing too well. Oh, okay. Clifford Chapin is the English voice of Himmel. So that's also Bakugo. Alright, I don't really need to look up anything else for that. Aizen the Warrior. Christopher Guerrero. I mean, don't just take me to Twitter. Oh, he's the dog policeman in My Hero Academia. That's something. And then Heiter. Jason Douglas. He played Beerus in Dragon Ball Super. Oh, he's also Kishibe in Chainsaw Man. Okay. Alright. There we go. That is generally what we have to do at the beginning of a new anime dub show on the channel is I just gotta look up everyone's voice, so. Alright, well, that got way more real than I thought that was going to. I don't know why I thought this was a goofy show going into this. Like, I kind of had that expectation, and who knows? It could still be goofy at some point. I mean, like, look at Full Metal Alchemist. Like, Full Metal Alchemist pretty much starts you off with, well, I mean, not immediately in Brotherhood, but pretty much starts you off with, you know, they lost their mother, they lost their bodies, and then, you know, and then there's goofy stuff. So it's entirely possible that there will be more goofiness. But this episode, no, that was like real. They got real and existential like really quickly. Man, how? So a troll, or not a troll, a dwarf. Excuse me, a dwarf. I can kind of get as a different species, being older like Frieren. Although even he was getting up there in age. How is it that the human priest has significantly outlived the human who was also a hero, you know? And not only outlived, but like, A, he outlived him by 20 years at least. B, he still looks pretty good. Like, he's not, like, that's the thing, is like, when we saw Himmel again, I actually kind of like that they made him like, you know, the normal kind of old person in anime, you know? Because a lot of times in anime, when you introduce an old person, they're just, you know, these tiny little shrimps, you know? They're these tiny little things and it's like super old and stuff. So I like that they actually turned, you know, Mr. Anime Pretty Boy Hero into that. But then, here, like, he actually, like, Heiter actually, like, became a regular old person. Like, you know, he pretty much looks the same. It's just his hair's gray and he's got some wrinkles on his face. That's about it, you know? So yeah, but man, just an interesting, like, such a good, like, setup immediately of, like, you know, like, this just kind of sets the tone kind of immediately and the sort of vibe, especially with Frieren herself, you know? So that was an interesting thing that it's like, you know, it's, you know, 10 years that they were together doing this mission, and finally, you know, we literally see at the beginning of this episode, they're done. They are done, and they achieved peace, you know? Like, that was great. And then time just passes on by, but Frieren looks exactly the same, you know? Same outfit, same look. She doesn't look any older, you know? We don't even know how old she is, you know? But I like that only now is it really starting to hit her, you know, the passage of time for humans, you know? And it's an interesting thing because, you know, you get that on other shows where it's like, you know, you have this character where there is a more advanced lifespan than a normal human. And that's always an interesting concept because in reality, we can't really comprehend that, you know? Humans that are watching this, and, you know, obviously the humans writing this, is like, how do you comprehend life that long, you know? And I like just kind of immediately, because, again, we don't know how old Frieren actually is, but she seems so detached, you know? She seems so detached. She spent 10 years. She spent 10 years with these characters, you know, with her party, basically. And she didn't really get to know them, you know? She didn't really get to know them, to understand them. She just sort of, I don't know, they just were there, you know? They were there, she did her job, but, like, she didn't really connect with them. And now that she has actually seen the passage of time in them, now it's starting to hit her, because again, we don't know how old she is. I'm just going to say this 20,000 times apparently. We don't know how old she is, but it's safe to assume that this is the first time she's ever had even a minimal connection with humans, It's entirely possible she's had connections to other elves, but we don't really see that, and that would be more of a normal human-to-human thing, where, if there are other elves, especially ones around her age, she's not going to notice anything, because 100 years can pass, and they look, they still both look like they're in their early 20s, So, yeah, it's like with them, it's like, she basically was forced to hang around humans for so long, and by leaving for those 50 years and then coming back, she finally sees how aging can actually affect someone, She doesn't just see people, like if she just saw someone, a human towards the end of their life, in age, she wouldn't really think anything of it. That's just how they are to her. But seeing, Willem, excuse me, seeing Willem not only at such an advanced age, but then seeing him die, like that hit her incredibly hard. So, and that's just from knowing him for 10 years, which isn't a lot to her, but imagine if she actually connected with a human, like say she stays connected with Fern, like if she stays connected with Fern, who I'm pretty sure is a normal human. If Fern grows up and lives and dies and she had this strong connection with her whole life, that could devastate Frieren, Or maybe it won't, depending on how her connection, manifests, basically. That's all if she has a connection with Fern, which, from that little smile at the end, like, I feel like that is pretty much where we're going, that there is that connection to her, So yeah, just really, really interesting stuff. And again, just like out the gate, just kind of deep and heavy stuff. And I like it. I like it, honestly. So yeah, and it's also interesting just seeing that it's like, where Willem, now in his such an advanced age, he's 50 years older, and he says, "Oh, I had to keep the dragon horn, in perfect condition, so that one day when my friend came back, I would be able to give it to her perfectly." And to Frieren, she's just thinking, well, thanks for doing that, but it wasn't like a big thing. Like, it wasn't like, yes, and this will end world hunger or something. Like, it won't, like, it wasn't this huge thing. She just needed a dragon horn. Nobody else had dragon horns. She knew where to get one, so she went back. Like, if that didn't happen, would she have even gone to them? Maybe, because she did say that, 50 years time, she will try to, get the band back together so that they can go to the perfect place to watch the meteor shower. And she did, It's just that around that time, she also needed the dragon horn. But yeah, it's like, it's not as grand or important a thing as, Willem spending literally the majority of his life safeguarding this thing for her, and she takes it and gives it to her bird or whatever, and it's like, yeah, it's just a simple ingredient, like it would be like if I went to someone, if I went to someone and was like, here's a Twinkie. Someday I might come back for this Twinkie, but I want you to keep a hold of it. And they take it and they're like, oh, I will protect this. And, they spend their entire life making sure that a Twinkie is just fine. I only use Twinkie because I couldn't think of any other food that'll last 5,000 years or 50 years or whatever. So they take care of this thing, and finally I come back like, yeah, I haven't had a Twinkie in a while. Can I have that back? And he's like, oh, I have spent my entire life keeping this. And I'm like, thanks. And then I just eat it, and it's just kind of that. And I was like, man, that hit the spot. So, I couldn't think of anything else that would last 50 years, so I went with a Twinkie because those probably will. So I didn't just do. I've never actually had a Twinkie, so I don't know. Tell them about the Twinkie. Anyhow, none of this matters. So yeah, like that's just crazy, and it's like, but I'm glad that that's what hits them, and even like Frieren to her, again, it's just. Well, it's a week's walk to get to, the place, to get to the place where we can watch the meteor shower unencumbered, basically, by city lights. But these three old men are like, oh boy, week's walk, and then they go through all this, and there's all this, stuff happening. It's like, one last adventure. But to her, she wasn't even really thinking that, She wasn't even really thinking that. But I like how just immediately you understand Frieren's character, and she's really interesting, She's really interesting, and seeing, now looking at everything and being like, I kind of want to learn a bit more about humanity. Then another 20 years passes. Has she made any progress? I'm going to say probably not, but maybe now she can, start to learn about humans and human connection through Fern, hopefully. And maybe even through Hyder, who's still there, So yeah, Hyder, who wants to see if he can find, if not immortality, at least a way of going on for a few more years, which is interesting. Because, it's like, originally it was like, well, he's not really afraid of death. He's fine. It's like, well, we saved the world. Hopefully that has given us a spot in heaven. But now that he's actually nearing the end of his life, he looks and is like, I don't know. I don't want to go yet. I don't want to go yet. So that's an interesting thing. I'm curious to see how that will develop. Especially because, Frieren said it's like it will take her like 5-6 years to decipher those spells, And again, to her, she says that like, it's going to take me like 5 or 6 weeks to do that. Like, it's almost nothing to her, So I don't know. It's an interesting thing. And now, just that little, we see she still has this, vague human connection to Hyder. But now, it'll be interesting to see what sort of a connection can develop with Fern. I don't know. Are we going to get like a time skip maybe? Because I think from what I've seen, I do know Fern grows up a little bit. So maybe we'll get a bit of that. I don't know. Get a bit of a time skip, but I don't know. I'm incredibly curious. This was a very solid first episode, and again, very heavy. A lot heavier than I thought it was going to be, but I'm hooked. I'm in. So that is basically it. With all of that said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around any of those. There's a playlist with all of my Frieren reactions, even if it's just one right now, as well as another video you can go click on if you want. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.